South Korea has a new president now. This important change came after a period that was very difficult and unstable for the country. For many months before the vote, South Korea faced big political problems. There was much tension and uncertainty in the government and across the nation. People felt worried about what was happening and hoped for a better future. Then the presidential election took place. Citizens went to the polls to choose their next leader. The winner of this election is Lee Jae-myung. He is the candidate from the Democratic Party, a major political group in South Korea. Lee Jae-myung won the most votes from people across the country. A very high number of citizens participated in this election, showing how deeply people felt about the situation and the need for change. Lee Jae-myung won against the other main candidate, Kim Moon-soo, who ran for the Conservative Party. The time before this election was marked by significant political trouble. The country had experienced major problems within its government and its leaders. There was a lot of disagreement and conflict between different political sides. This led to a difficult time for the country, with many feeling tired of the fighting. The election was seen as a chance to move past these problems and start fresh. When Lee Jae-myung won the election, he made a speech to the country. He expressed his thanks to all the people who had placed their trust in him by voting. He spoke about the serious job he now has as president and promised to carry out this great responsibility. One of his main messages was his promise to work hard to bring the people of South Korea together. He wants to help the country heal from its divisions and become more united. He said he understands the people's hopes and will work hard not to disappoint them. Following the election result, many people in South Korea felt a sense of relief. They hoped that the new president, Lee Jae-myung, would be able to solve the problems the country faced. They are looking for him to improve the economy, create jobs, and bring more peace and agreement in politics. Countries around the world paid close attention to the election results in South Korea. South Korea is an important partner for many nations globally. Leaders from countries like the United States and Japan quickly sent messages of congratulations to Lee Jae-myung. They showed their interest in continuing to work together with South Korea's new government on important matters. The world is watching to see what path South Korea will take under its new president. This election marks a new era. President Lee Jae-myung has a big task ahead to lead the country and help it overcome the recent difficulties, working towards a more stable and prosperous future for all South Koreans. 2. Big problems before the vote. Before the election, South Korea had big problems in the government. The country faced a very difficult time. On December 3, 2024, President Yoon Suk-yeol did something that surprised everyone. He suddenly said the country was under martial law. Martial law is a very strong order from the president. It can stop normal life and limit people's freedoms. It is only for very bad times like war. President Yoon said he needed martial law because different groups in the government could not agree. He said some groups were working against the country. His government also had problems because of scandals. For example, there were questions about the First Lady. But many people felt very worried about the martial law. It felt like dark times from the past when South Korea was not a free country. The people who make laws, the parliament, acted very fast. All the members of parliament, even people from President Yoon's own party, said no to the martial law. They voted against it quickly. Some parliament members even had to go past soldiers to vote. Because Parliament said no, President Yoon had to stop the martial law order just hours later. But President Yoon's problems did not end. On December 14, 2024, Parliament voted again. This time, they voted to remove him from his job as president. This action is called impeachment. President Yoon had to stop being president for a time. The government became unstable. Several different people had to be the leader of the country for short periods. This meant South Korea did not have one stable leader for more than 4 months. It was a confusing time for the country. Then, in January 2025, police arrested President Yoon. They said he did very serious things related to his martial law decision. President Yoon was put in jail. Finally, in April 4, 2025, a very important court made a final decision. This court, the Constitutional Court, said that Parliament was right. President Yoon was officially removed from his job permanently. Because the president was gone, the country needed a new one quickly. The law said a new presidential election had to happen within 60 days. This big problem with the government and the court's decision led directly to the special election for a new president. 3. The race for president. After the country faced big problems, a new election for president was needed quickly. A date was chosen for this important vote, June 3. Many people wanted to be the next leader of South Korea. The two main candidates came from the country's biggest political groups. Lee Jae-myung ran for the Democratic Party. This party is generally liberal. Kim Moon-soo ran for the People Power Party. This party is generally conservative. Before the campaign started fully, there were some legal issues. The former president, Moon Jae-in, faced legal charges in April. Also, Lee Jae-myung had a court case that was still happening. A court made a decision about his case in May, saying it needed more review. However, the trials for his case were put off until after the election. This meant his legal problems were not finished during the voting time. The Conservative People Power Party needed to choose their candidate. In early May, the party selected Kim Moon-soo to run for president. This happened relatively late compared to Lee Jae-myung, who was already the clear leader of his party. Official campaigning began in the middle of May. This was a busy time across the country. The candidates traveled a lot and held big meetings with many people. These meetings were called rallies. Lee Jae-myung had large rallies, for example, in the capital city, Seoul. Kim Moon-soo also spoke to people at different places, like local markets. Both candidates talked about making the country better. A main focus for both Lee Jae-myung and Kim Moon-soo was the economy. They promised to help businesses and make jobs. They also spoke about bringing people together and helping the country feel united after the recent difficult time. Throughout the campaign, many polls showed that Lee Jae-myung was the favorite to win. The campaign continued for a few weeks with more speeches and debates. People thought carefully about who they wanted as their next president. Finally, the day for voting came. On June 3, people went to vote across South Korea. After the votes were counted, it was clear. Lee Yi-myung won the election for president. This ended the race. 4. Who wanted to be president? The election for president had two main people who wanted the job. One was Lee Yi-myung. He was the candidate for the Democratic Party. This party is often called liberal. The other main person was Kim Moon-soo. He was the candidate for the People Power Party. This party is more conservative. Lee Yi-myung was 61 years old. He came from a poor family and worked hard to become a lawyer. Then he became a politician, first as a mayor and then a governor. Lee's main ideas for the country were about helping the economy work better for everyone and helping people directly. He wanted to give money to families with less income. He also wanted to improve help for older people and children from the government. He said the government should put money into new types of work and technology to make jobs for young people. Lee also talked about how South Korea should be with other countries. He believed South Korea should try to talk with North Korea again to find peace. He also wanted to be friends with countries in Europe and China. But he also said it was important to stay a close friend with the United States. Kim Moon-soo was 73 years old. He was a politician from the conservative side for many years. He had worked in the government before. Kim's main ideas were also about the economy, but his plan was to help businesses grow. He wanted to make fewer rules for companies and cut their taxes. He thought this would make the economy strong and create jobs. He also promised to help small shops and people who work for themselves. For foreign countries, Kim had a strong view on North Korea. He thought South Korea needed a strong army. He said the country should be tough with North Korea. He believed staying close with the United States was very important for safety, especially against North Korea. There were a few other people who wanted to be president too, but not many people supported them. The election quickly became a choice between Lee Yi-myung and Kim Moon-soo. The biggest topics for all the candidates were the economy and how South Korea works with other nations. Many people felt the cost of living was too high. It was hard for young people to find good jobs. Businesses needed help. So both Lee and Kim promised to make the economy better, but they had different plans to do it. How to handle North Korea was also a very important question for everyone. Should South Korea talk more or be stronger? This was a big difference between the two main candidates. Also, how to keep a good relationship with the United States was a topic they both discussed. They both wanted the U.S. to stop high taxes on goods from South Korea. The candidates told people their plans in speeches and on television. Lee Yi-myung said he would make the country fairer and help people with less money. He said he would protect democracy. Kim Moon-soo said he would help businesses and keep the country safe. People listened to these ideas to decide who would be the best leader. The election was about choosing which path South Korea should take next for its people and its place in the world. 5. More about Lee Yi-myung. Lee Yi-myung has a long and interesting story. He came from a poor family in the countryside. When he was a child, his family needed money, so he had to leave school early. He was only 14 years old. He started working in factories. It was hard work. He even had an accident there that hurt his hand. But Lee Yi-myung was strong and wanted to learn more. He studied hard by himself. Later, he got a special chance to go to university to study law. He became a lawyer and worked to protect the rights of workers and people who faced difficulties. Then Lee Yimayung started working in government. He became a politician. His first important job was being the mayor of the city of Seongnam. He was the mayor for many years. People knew him because he tried to do new things to help the city and its people. He started large projects like building affordable homes for families. He was not afraid to disagree with others to get things done. After being mayor, he became the governor of Gyeonggi Province. This area is very big and important in South Korea. This job showed he was a strong leader. Lee Yimayung had tried to become president before. In 2022, he ran, but the election was very close and he lost by a small number of votes. But he decided to run again this time. His main ideas for the country are focused on the economy and helping people. He wants to give money directly to families and people with low incomes. He also wants to spend government money to help new businesses and future industries, like technology. He talks about creating more jobs and making sure everyone has fair chances. He calls this helping the ordinary people. For other countries, Lee Yimayung says the strong relationship with the United States is very important for South Korea's safety. He wants to keep this alliance. He also wants to open talks with North Korea again to try to find peaceful ways forward. During his campaign, Lee Yimayung used strong words. He said he was fighting to protect democracy in South Korea. He told people that the election was a chance to move away from the problems of the past government. He promised to unite the country and work for all people. He often spoke about judging past actions by leaders. However, Lee Yimayung faces some challenges with the law. There are ongoing legal cases about his work when he was mayor. People have asked questions about some city projects. He says he is innocent and that these cases are used against him for political reasons. These court cases are still not finished. Lee Yimayung's life shows he is determined. He went from a difficult start to become the leader of South Korea. Now he has the big job of leading the country and dealing with its problems. 6. What people thought. Lee Yimayung and his party, the Democratic Party, were very happy after the vote count finished. They celebrated their victory. Lee spoke to the public and shared his feelings. He thanked the citizens for putting their trust in him. He said becoming president was a great responsibility. He promised not to disappoint the people and said his duty was to unite everyone under his government. Other important people in the Democratic Party also celebrated. One leader said the vote was a clear decision against the previous government and its actions. Another spokesman said it was time for the old leader to face consequences for the past. In the streets, people who supported Lee and wore the party's blue color were very happy and cheered his name loudly. Some even called the victory a moment for Korean democracy to start again. Ordinary people across South Korea had different feelings. Some felt relief that the period of trouble was ending and a new leader was chosen. Many felt hope for better times ahead, especially for the country's economy and jobs. But some people still felt worried about the future. One older man told reporters that the economy had become worse for everyone in recent times. He also said that people in the country were very divided. with different ideas about politics and the future. Many citizens said they truly hoped Li's win would help calm these divisions and make the economy stronger again for all. The candidate who lost the election, Kim Moon-soo from the Conservative People Power Party, accepted the result quickly and with respect. He called Lee Yi-myung to say congratulations on his win. His party also said they accepted the people's choice in the election. Some people in the Conservative Party were disappointed and started thinking about why they lost. They knew their party needed to make changes and work hard to get public trust back after the problems of the recent past and the big troubles the country faced. Governments in other countries reacted quickly to the news. In the United States, an official from the government said the election was free and fair. They said the strong friendship and alliance between the U.S. and South Korea would continue as before. Senator Marco Rubio of Florida also sent his congratulations to Lee and said the alliance was very strong and important. News from China's state media showed reports about Lee winning the election. People there expected China and South Korea to have good and constructive relations with the new leader. Japan's government also sent congratulations to Lee. They hope to work together on important things for the region, like security matters and economic cooperation. After the election results were clear, things stayed stable in the financial world. The value of South Korea's money, the won, did not change much. Stock markets were also calm the day after the vote. This showed that people who deal with money felt confident that the change of president would be peaceful and orderly. The election result cleared the way for South Korea to work on international topics again, like talking about trade agreements and future diplomacy with North Korea, now with a new president leading. 7. Why this election was important. This election was very important for South Korea. It came after a difficult time and a big political crisis. People felt things were not stable. There were problems in the government and the country. South Korea has a history of choosing different leaders. Sometimes the people choose leaders from the liberal side and sometimes from the conservative side. This election continued that history, but it was special because of the problems that happened before the vote. The country faced economic challenges. Prices for things were high, and many people worried about jobs and their future. This made many citizens feel anxious. They wanted a government that could help fix these issues. A major reason this election was so important was the event where martial law was declared. This was a big shock, and many people saw it as a threat to democracy. It created deep tiredness with the political fighting. People felt the crisis showed how bad the situation had become. This election was seen by many voters as a chance to respond to that crisis. Because of this, many people came out to vote. The voter turnout was very high. This showed that people cared strongly about who would lead the country next. They wanted their voice to be heard after the difficult period. The election was also important because the results showed a clear message. Lee Yi-myung won the election. His party, the Democratic Party, already had control of the parliament. Now, with Lee as president, the liberal side controls both the presidency and the parliament. This means they can make big changes in the country's laws and policies. Experts said that the election result was a sign that people were not happy with the past problems and the way the country had been led recently. They saw Lee's win as a strong vote against the chaos and the actions that caused the crisis. The main political parties, the Liberal Democratic Party and the Conservative People Power Party, had different ideas for the future. The election decided which direction South Korea would take. Also, the election was important for how South Korea works with other countries. Things like trade talks with the United States under President Trump and relations with countries like China and Japan needed a new leader. The election decided who would handle these important international matters. In short, this election was important because it happened after a serious crisis, showed the public's strong desire for change, and decided the political future of South Korea for the next few years. 8. What happens next? Lee Jae-myung is now the president. This election means South Korea is starting a new road. After many problems, people chose a new leader. But the future has big work for President Lee. One of the biggest jobs is to bring the country together. The time before the election was very difficult, and people have different ideas and feelings. President Lee said he wants to unite everyone. This is important for South Korea to move forward. Another main task is to make the economy strong again. Many people worry about jobs and money. The economy has not grown quickly. Experts say President Lee must find ways to help businesses and families. He needs to show real changes quickly. Experts also say that Lee won because many people were unhappy with the past, so he must work hard to build trust in the government again. There are still questions about his own legal issues, and this adds another challenge for him. For other countries, South Korea will keep important friends like the United States. President Lee will also try to talk with North Korea again. But first, his focus will likely be on fixing things inside the country, especially the economy. This election showed that South Korea's democracy is strong even after a big crisis. But the work is not finished. Lee Jae-myung has a big job to do for the country. What do you think President Lee should do first to help South Korea?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.